Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you love to watch more cheating stories. Cheated on by ex years ago and feel like it still affects me today. I'm 25 currently, writing this to hopefully get it off my chest. So I met my first GF in uni back in the spring 2015 semester. I was 19, she was 18. I had never had a girlfriend before, obviously, and had only been with one person sexually before, my first FWB, which I met only a few months earlier. I should mention I'm on the autism spectrum and had always struggled with socialization and meeting people. I met her through Tinder and we hung out a few times and had fun. Then the third time we hung out things got sexual, but she started crying during it because it was spur of the moment and we didn't have condoms. She was afraid she'd end up like someone she knew who had a kid and wasn't ready for it. A couple years later I discovered I was infertile anyway and can't have kids. But either way we stopped at that point, and I don't fully remember what happened today, but we started dating. For the last few months of the semester we were having lots of fun doing things together and having sex. At the end of the semester, I went back home. My school was in the LA area, so not too far from my home. We had agreed to not see anyone else during that summer, so we were basically going steady and had established ourselves as significant others, or so I thought. Turns out that summer she hooked up with one of her old FWBs. We hung out over the summer a few times, and that's when she started showing some of her toxic traits. As someone with autism who had very little experience with women, I was very naive and just thought this is how relationships work. Back then she would just withhold sex to get things she wanted or enforce a change in me. I was grateful to be learning more social rules, and while in the back of my head I felt it wasn't the best way to learn, I loved her and didn't think much about it. I should also mention that I was always envious / some sort of feeling about how much more sexual experience she had and that she had it in high school. The next semester, we were back at uni and more toxic situations came out that I was too naive to see as toxic. I don't remember most of the fights we had and other negative situations I was upset about because my mind has this defense mechanism that sort of blocks my memory of specifics for bad things. They'll remember something happened and a sort of feeling from it, but couldn't remember exactly what happened or sometimes anything at all. One of the things that I do remember is she would sort of make fun of my dick size. I now know I have an above average dick size, but I guess she was used to BBCs. I should mention she was African American and had some Asian and I'm Caucasian, so she would make comments on my size, especially when soft. I'm a grower, not a shower. Anyway, after a while she started becoming more and more emotionally abusive. And I couldn't remember the specific details to bring up any concerns. So with my confidence dwindling and feeling something was wrong but being too naive and not knowing what, I started talking to other girls online. Nothing ever came from them, but of course my GF found out and said I was cheating on her. Technically yes, it's emotional cheating, and broke up with me, but not before hitting me. The first of many physical abusive things she'd done to me. Like an idiot I tried to apologize and win her back. We had lunch, to which she told me that she had sex with her FWB over the summer to try and hurt me, even though she said it wasn't cheating because we weren't officially boyfriend-girlfriend, even though we said we wouldn't see anyone else. Like an idiot I still wanted her back because she had destroyed my already low self-confidence and I thought I'd never find anyone else. Long story short, we were together on and off for another semester, breaking up and getting back together for various reasons. All throughout she was emotionally and physically abusive. She punched me in the dick at least 2 times during the relationship and hit me in various other ways other times, yet we were together again during the winter break. While I was back at home, she was still in her dorm. One of her sort of friends from high school asked if he could stay with her at her dorm for a bit. To her credit, she did ask me and I said okay because I mistakenly trusted her. Though that night I felt something was off because this guy had a reputation in high school for, I kid you not, taking out his giant dick and plopping it on other students' tables, and no one reported him and he never got in trouble because they were like, oh, that's just his name, that's just how he is. I didn't really understand how he never got in trouble, but that's what my GF had told me before. A few nights later I FaceTimed her and played her favorite song on the piano. She started crying and I didn't think much of it. But when I got back to uni the next semester, she told me that the night that guy was over, he had basically convinced her to have sex with him by saying I had cheated on her before, so she might as well with him or something like that. So she had sex with him but started feeling guilty and told him to stop. She apparently started crying that time on FaceTime because of her guilt. Like the idiot I was with my destroyed self-confidence, I thought I'd never get anyone else and tried to make it work. I broke up with her about a week or so later. But I got lonely and once again allowed her back into my life for the final time. A few months later I finally had enough, and in one fight I told her I had cheated on her with someone else just to hurt her. I hadn't actually, but in my mind that would be the end of the relationship permanently, and we broke up for the last time. She then went to post mean things about me on Twitter, like if anyone wants someone with a tiny dick and is desperate to get laid, take my ex, among other things. I didn't find out about that until later, and to her credit, by that time she agreed that it was mean and took it down when I told her that it wasn't cool. I later learned she immediately went to another guy she had met during work a few weeks earlier after we broke up, and they were Facebook official the next day. So she was probably cheating again. Even though she said the next time we had contact that her new boyfriend set the relationship status to that day, but it wasn't posted until much later, I honestly didn't trust her. Either way, I'm glad I had that relationship because it was a great learning experience for some social norms, pop culture, and race issues, but more importantly how I shouldn't be treated by someone. Even though that took a while for me to realize how toxic it actually was, I just wish it hadn't lasted for basically a year and a half of my life on and off. While my self-confidence has improved, it still had issues stemming from her emotional abuse, among other things she did and said. And to this day I have a weird feeling about being cheated on in relationships. I sometimes feel like it's going to happen even when there's not obvious reason it should. And a weird part of me almost gets off by thinking about getting cheated on and how I would react. Maybe because I obviously didn't react to that cheating in the best way? I don't know. TLDR, first GF ever was emotionally and physically abusive, cheated on me twice and probably a third time, doesn't count the first on as cheating, and I was too naive, primarily because of my bad social skills due to my autism, to see the abuse as such, and actually break up with her due to the cheating and to resist getting back with her multiple times due to my destroyed self-esteem. Here are some of the best comments from our community. Affecting you from the past is common, we're all haunted by hurt. The education you learn from that hurt should overlay into future relationships, but don't rob yourself of a potential partner being a dartboard for the acts of a past lover. I'm guilty of this and was calmly put in check by a wonderful sweet-hearted girl who wasn't scared to hit me with reality. They're all different and will mind FCK you in different ways at the end if it was to occur. One thing that sucks about relationships is either they make it or break it, some of course hurts more than others. I've been in a long-term relationship that was emotionally abusive, and it still to this day takes a toll from time to time. However, you realize later on how much to value yourself and what you would want and expect from relationships. People have said it's a painful way to learn, but it's a part of growing up. Keep your head up, Captain. Remember that there's many more years of hopeful opportunities and endless experiences waiting ahead of you. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell.